Hello, residents of Riviera Beach. Happy Mother's Day to all the amazing mothers in our community, in our city, in our county, state, and in the nation. It's a great day to celebrate the women of this community, and I'm honored to have an amazing panel of women that represent this city and represent this country in a fashion that we continue to just intertwine with each other. We want to continue to build with each other. We want to continue to grow with each other. So how we do that is we lean on the mothers, the trailblazers, the foundation, the ones that we've all come from. So first and foremost, before I get started, I want to thank you, mothers. Thank you guys for taking the time to speak to our residents and speak to our community just about the importance of motherhood. Today's panel is about mothers in our community, engaging with the community, and continuing to grow with our community. So I'm going to thank you guys first. And second, I'm going to go ahead and do some introductions. I'm going to start on my left, and I'm going to start with an introduction of your name and also one word that represents motherhood to you. And I'm going to start with this amazing young lady, Miss Judith.
Judy Honan. I guess commitment would be my word.
I love it.
Hello, my name is Issa Allen, and my word is unconditional.
Hi, I'm Carla Felder, and my word is nurturer.
Hi, I'm Dawn Nguyen, and my word is love.
My name is Billy Brooks, and I too ascribe being a nurturer.
Love it.
My name is Cheryl Melvin, and my word is dedication.
Thank you. That was exactly what represents motherhood. That just kind of gave me chills because you guys are the nurturers. You're the dedication. You're the love. You're the commitment. You're the ones that we lean on. You're the first heartbeat that we as men, women, children, that we hear. So that's why this is so important to honor you and to honor the mothers in this community. So today what we're going to do is we're going to have a panel discussion, guys. We're going to literally just talk about motherhood, the importance of motherhood, and how it actually affects our community, how it's affected you personally, what you've seen in the community, and different insight. So it'll be an open discussion, so I may call on somebody based upon some of the feedback, like commitment, love, nurture, or I may just allow for you to just, whoever wants to speak, just let me know, acknowledge it, and it'll be a free discussion. Because today is really just gonna be a panel discussion honoring mothers. All right? So we're gonna get started. I want you to briefly just get started because we did introductions and a name, but if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, and just things about yourself so that the community can know who you are and your engagement. I'm actually gonna start with Ms. Melvin this time.
My name is Cheryl Melvin. I am a resident of Riviera Beach for 9 years since 2009. I have a foundation that is called Sincere 2000 Foundation. We lost our 17-year-old to suicide and mental health. So the importance of our children, their mind, letting them know that every step counts, letting them know that every step matters, and giving back to them so that they know that they never have to fight alone. So that's what I give back to the community.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ms. Melvin.
Well, my name is Billy Brooks, a longtime resident of Riviera Beach, served on the council here for 4 years, and I see myself as a mother of the community. As I shared with you, Councilman Lawson, I have so many bonus children. Besides the one that I birthed, somehow I have acquired the children in the community, adults. And it's just been my pleasure just to use my mothering or parenting skills to work with them and show love, unconditional love, because some of my children are a little bit naughty, you know. But then I know it's my role to really help them, and to most of all, I try to introduce to them the love of the Lord. You know, I think that's a foundation we as mothers should be given to our children early on, is knowing the Lord, trusting in Him, having faith. And so that's part of the role that I play here in this community. And I want to add, too, now, that motherhood doesn't mean that biologically you're a mother.
Right.
You know, the Lord has blessed you sometimes just to be a godmother, and that's really important. But being a mother is so important, and we say it takes a village, and that's a role that we mothers play too, taking care of our children in the village.
Yes, ma'am. And to that point, Ms. Brooks, I wanted to say your word was nurturing, and you're like a community bonus mom because you were one of the first women I spoke to when I was running for office and after I got elected, just because I knew that you had done this before. You paved the way. But the way that you came to speak to me was not political. It was just a nurturing woman that wanted to protect an individual that wanted to serve the community. So thank you so much, and thank you for what you've done for me personally and for all the residents of the community as a former elected.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hi again, I'm Dawn Nguyen. I'm a resident of the city of Riviera Beach, and I also happen to be the city attorney for the great city of Riviera Beach. I have 3 children, but like Mrs. Brooks, I have a lot of bonus children that I have adopted throughout my over 30 years in Palm Beach County. And one of the things that brings me a great deal of joy is mentoring young people, primarily teenagers on into college.
Thank you, Ms. Nguyen.
Hi. Again, I'm Carla Felder, and I'm a resident of Riviera Beach, longtime resident of Riviera Beach. And I am employed by the Department of Health over 33 years, looking to retire soon. But being a mother is a joy to me. I think about, the first thing I thought about was a nurturer, and I thought about my mom. As a child, she nurtured me, and I can remember the times where she woke me up at night to come and pray with her, and that sticks with me to this day. And so I just want to say to the mothers out there that there's an opportune time that we have with our children, and we have to capture that time. And to be a part of their life at that opportune time is amazing. And I have 3 beautiful children. One of our kids are incarcerated right now, which is our son, but I mother him from afar. Good. So glad to be here.
Taking advantage of that time is, as kids, we took that for granted, and we still do at times, and not understanding the love that mothers do have. That's why we're honoring you mothers, because we can no longer take this for granted. We can't continue to sit back and just say, hey, you guys, we'll see mom whenever, or we'll give her a call, next week or whenever. We got to just put the love, compassion, and commitment to treating you as the queens you are. So thank you, Ms. Felder.
Thank you. Again, my name is Issa Allen. I was raised in Riviera Beach and spent the first part of my 20s in Riviera Beach. I have 3 children. That is my world. I was a teen mom as well, so when I use the word unconditional, it's just learning. They taught me because I was so young when I had children, and there's nothing that I wouldn't do for my children. It's the one thing that I can say that I do effortlessly. And that goes into what I do as a person, which is being a therapist for middle school children, because children are my passion, and I pour that into not only what I do as a career, but as a nonprofit, into giving back to children, not only monetarily or just giving them things, but teaching them through their mind to be a better person so that they can be a better person in this world. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Allen.
Hi, I'm Judy Honan. I have 3 children, and they're all grown, but I don't know, are they ever grown? I think that what I've found is that you really have to, I'm in it for the long haul, and I'm always hoping that everybody will get on their feet and do what they're supposed to do. And in the meantime, I love them to death, and I just had a new grandchild last week, and so now I have 4, and I was blessed to have 1, I tell you. My children were not easy, but they took a lot of effort, but they're well worth it, and they've had great friends recently, and it's nice to meet all the friends and stuff. So, and to have them over, and it just gives more life to your house and everything. So,
thank you so much. And just a quick notice, I met Ms. Honan just in the gym one morning, and just her motherhood and her nurturing, we just started talking and just started to build a bond and relationship to where anything I ask her, she's like, yeah, no problem, sure. Of course, yeah, no problem, I'll take care of that. It's that need or that urge to just never say no, to just be supportive, to be that nurturer, to kind of always be that support. I mean, I kind of got stuck in my mother's house for a few years after college because she didn't want to kick me out. So, I appreciated her not saying no to me and letting me stay there and kind of allowing me to get my bearings together. So thank you, Ms. Honan. And we also have Ms. Quinnett as well. Ms. Quinnett, if you could just give us a quick introduction of yourself and just a quick background of motherhood. And also, one more thing, you got to give us one word that motherhood means to you.
Good afternoon. My name is Quinnett Lowry. I am the director of She Speaks International for Domestic and Abused Women of Children. I have 3 sons. I have 16 grandkids. I have 2 great-grandkids, and I raised 5 children in my house because I was a foster parent. And a mother is extravagant to me. She's someone that you trust, that you love, and she's always there 24/7.
Thank you, Ms. Cornett. Well, ladies, thank you so much. I'm going to just give you guys a round of applause first because we honestly are honored to have you as our guest and to talk about motherhood. We're going to talk about motherhood in the community and in the city, and we're going to just talk about the importance. So I'm going to get started. One of my first questions is going to be, if you could tell me a special memory you have about your personal children. I'm going to start with Ms. Nguyen.
Oh, good. Really, the birth of my children. I said that I have 3 children. One I adopted, and then I gave birth to 2 children. And one of the special memories that I have is that every year from the time that they were 1, I tell them on their birthday the story of their birth, from contraction to delivery. And it's amazing now that they are 24 and 26, and they look forward to, they'll call me from wherever they live and say, I'm waiting for my birthday story. So that's my favorite memory.
I love it. Great story. Thank you. Anyone else want to share a special memory? Ms. Cornett?
I remember my oldest son, he's 43, and he used to always take my stuff apart in my house. I mean, he would make stereo TVs before they came out. We had inside track television and everything. And I would say, boy, why do you take everything loose? He said, you'll see one day, Mama. Now he's been doing air conditioning refrigeration for 20 years since he came from school. He owns his own company. He worked for a big company. And he says, you're not my secretary. Tell him to call me because our phone never stops working because he's one of the top air conditioning engineers in Riviera Beach. And I just was amazed how he used to just take all my stuff apart, but it paid off in the long run.
And thank you. That, honestly, you taught them from young. You led the way, and they are able to actually be gainfully employed and successful now because of the path you led. Those stories, Ms. Nguyen, is the reason. And all the mothers that are watching, just think about that special memory you have with your kids. Ms. Nguyen has all grown kids. Majority of our panel, all the kids are grown. But you remember those originations of birthing those children, that pathway of leading them, the first steps, their first words. So all you mothers, just think back about those kids and how much it meant to you and just those first steps that they took. And then growing up, it's so important, and it's honoring to actually have your mothers here. Holiday trips. Now that kids are grown, do we still partake in the same ways of holidays, traveling, going around, special dinners? Give me some type of feedback in regards to how you celebrate the holidays now versus when we were young kids and you were raising young children. And I'm going to go with Miss Melvin.
So my children, my youngest 3, they're not grown. They're not grown. So I have a 6-year-old, I have a 10-year-old, and I have a soon-to-be 13-year-old. So for us, I just share with them the importance of time. Right. Because you have to understand that time does not wait on anybody. Right. Yep. And we're all here on borrowed time. So I make sure that as much as I have to give them, we'll play around. They love to dance. They love to camp out. I don't like to be outside. So camping for us is inside. I'll pop the tent up in the inside of the house, and my husband lets us put the chairs up, and they, hide underneath it. But it's just letting them be kids, enjoying every moment that you have and the precious memories that you have with them, and allowing them to have fun and know that, life is more than just, waking up, having to go to school, having to go to work, but just enjoying the time that you have with each other. So I just try to make sure I cherish every moment with them. And I find myself getting back my childhood, too, because I get to play with them and run around and stuff. So it's amazing.
Beautiful. And Miss Allen, you have a young man in college now. How are those holidays? Does he want to come home? Does he want to stay with his friends? Does he have a girlfriend that he wants to go to their house? What's going on? Tell us how you deal with that.
He's actually a big mama's boy, and he wants to come home. And he comes home. He calls me in the interim between holidays. He asks to come home quite often, actually. And I love the fact that I got the chance to instill that family structure in him, because it's something that I didn't grow up with. So to see that, I did something positive in a sense that family matters, and that time with your family is really important. So yes, he's my first child in college, 22, all the way in Ohio, a Florida boy. So yes, that's maybe one of the reasons why you want to come home. But it's different for me because I do have two little ones, or a 7 and a 15-year-old, and he's 22. So I get that difference in them coming home, not being home, and just like that time missing him, and then him coming home, and just preparing for him to be home, and then him leaving again. So I'm just now getting to experience all that.
Okay. And then also, like Ms. Brooks, Ms. Honan, I know you guys have grown kids. What are the holidays like now?
Oh, just wonderful, Councilman. I find that my adult children, I have two.
Yes.
My son is here. My daughter lives in Tampa.
Yeah.
They want to, during the holidays, they come and they're like children again. They tell me what I am to prepare,
Right.
the foods I am to prepare, and they want to smell that when they walk in the house, the cornbread, the collard greens, etc.,
Yep.
And then my son, he's a principal, and he's like a kid. He gets on the sofa and he stretches out, and it's like, Mom, and I can't prepare quick enough. He'll come in the kitchen, may I help you? That's a sign you got to hurry up, And so it's just great to see them acting like children again, and
Yeah.
that makes me feel very special. And they compete with the grandchildren, by the way.
That is actually exactly how I do when I go to my mother's house. I'm stretched out on the couch. I want to be babied and pampered, and I'm just like, Mom, can you cook? And can you whatever. So literally we get to be kids again when we get to go home, and we go home to our adult moms, and realizing that these are things that we missed, that nurturing, that love, those things like that.
Having Jamaican food, huh, man?
Every time. So, being a mother, business owner, a wife, a leader in the community, retired, all around superwoman. Tell us a little bit about that, your engagement of actually what it's like to have 10 jobs. Because literally every mother has more than one job. I don't care what they say about you guys working, raising kids, doing budgets, raising a husband, all the things that you're doing. Like literally, I understand that you are all superwomen. So tell us a little bit about the roles and the responsibilities of having such a diverse catalog of so many things you have to do on a regular basis. And we can go with Ms. Quinnett.
I was a youth leader at my church. Me and her oldest son, Bobby. And we used to have like 2 buses loaded of children. And it was just me and Miss Brooks' son. And it was, back in those days, it was so much fun. And they would give us a hard time. And I think Bradley Hopper, he was my main, Judge Hopper, he was one of my main kids. And they would say, when Miss Quinnett go to sleep, we're going to blow bubbles all in her face. But I wouldn't be asleep because Bobby would be watching me. But we used to have all-night sleepovers for the kids, and we used to do so much fun. And right now, those kids come to my house. They still expect I've been teaching at Hilltop Daycare for 35 years, and they'll come by, they'll give gifts, and they remember that love. And either the ones that's in college just still come by, bring gifts, and I always give them a pickup. Just like this weekend, my grandson that goes to Marshall University, he came home. He said, we want you to cook all this food. And I was like, really? So when I turned around, he had all his friends with him, and then I had this set of kids. My son said, Mom, you cooked that little bit of food for all those kids? I said, well, I guess you better go buy some more. But when one's in town, it makes me feel good because they all come over, and we still do fun things. And I just thank God for that role model because they remember where they were, and sometimes they have problems, they come and they talk about them. And I still have my same landline phone number. I wouldn't change it because I said it might be stuck somewhere and I always need to call me. So I still have that landline number.
My mother's kept the same number for the last 20 years because she just wants to make sure we can reach her. So that's amazing. That's completely accurate. Ms. Melvin, you being the director of a nonprofit, working, young kids, tell us how you balance all of that. And also married. Tell us how you balance just all of those different jobs.
So it's an honor. I don't really think that a lot of times we give it too much thought. We just have to do what we have to do, you know. And I think that when tasks are put in front of you, it's all in how you look at it. So I don't consider it more so of work or a job. Like I think about my mother and how you just watch her with so many different hats on, you know, and she was just an extraordinary woman, and how she raised me and my brothers and making sure that we understood the dedication and the hard work and the perseverance. So those things I instill in my children. But when it comes time to multitask, it's easy. I don't even give it thought. It's just something that comes natural.
I just
Honestly,
want
like
to
that's-
add something, if I may.
Please, Ms. Brooks.
That I guess I've played every role that you defined in your question.
Please.
You really got to compartmentalize your daily activities. And I can't underplay the importance of really asking the Lord for advice, you know, because He's given you all these roles. Now, Lord, you have to help me understand each and every day, because it's enough just to take care of things all the day. Mm-hmm. How do I function as a mother today, a wife today, on my job today, in the community today? You really got to come up with what the priorities are. And it's so easy to get overwhelmed at times, because especially today, you're working under difficult and unusual circumstances. The children don't understand. So today, when you look at those roles today, it just takes on a whole different take. Wow. You know, mother's got to decide, oh, do I quit my job? I've got to help my children with their lessons. Now I am a teacher. I'm an educator. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's just so overwhelming. So you really got to find that quiet time every day. Lord, help me get through this day. Mm-hmm. And you know, and when we see that our parents are suffering in the community, we got to come forward. My neighbor has 2 children, 2 and 5. And so I've offered myself to help them. I said, you and your husband need to have a break. Bring the children over so you can have a little date time, you know, a little alone time. So that's one way we have to give back. Remember how it was for us. Mm-hmm. Some of us were blessed to have a grandparent who could help, but then there are many today don't have that.
I have my mom, thank God.
Amen, that's right, because we've got to just got to look for an opportunity to help people.
Correct.
You know, so I just wanted to add that.
And that's what mothers do. They're just always looking to help. They're always looking to support. They're always looking to nurture. They're always looking to be there. And Ms. Melvin, you saying that it wasn't a job just kind of corrected exactly the mindset of men and women. I'm looking at everything like, oh, I got to get this done, I got to get this done, I got to get this done. And you're looking at it like, this is just my responsibility. This is my love. This is my passion. This is not a job for me. This is something that I just love to do. Mm-hmm. So I love that about you, about all of you mothers. Honorable Ms. First Lady, can you please tell us how you balance being the First Lady of the city, First Lady of your church, having a job, having children, and also being a GMA? Give us a rundown, understanding. Because literally, I had to put it all out there, Ms. Felder, because honestly, you are one of the women that we honor, that we salute, that we look up to. So thank you for what you do for our community and being an amazing grandma. You know, you tell us a little bit about your story and a little bit about how you handle all of it.
Thank you, thank you. Well, when you say it like that, it sounds like a lot, but I'm like Miss Melvin. I don't look at it as a job. I think if I had to stand back and look at it as a job, then I wouldn't get anything done. And so I just take what comes to me and I apply what God has given me, and that's to be a nurturer and to love the people that are in front of me. One of the things that you talked about just a few minutes ago was, and it makes me smile all the time, is I'm a grandma. But I don't call myself a grandma. I call myself Uma, or I say Gigi. So Uma means grandma in African. So, and my daughter don't want me to use that, but I tell her I'm a teacher, so I'm going to teach my granddaughter the things that I want her to know. But one of the things being in the community has taught me, and we've been leading a church for over 8 years, and then my husband stepped into being the mayor of the city. And so I had already pretty much had just a tutelage of being around people, so to speak, because we were always in ministry with Jay's ministry. So I was already around a lot of people, and I just became a servant. That's my heart. My heart is to be a servant to people, and so that's what I love to do. So it tends to be easy for me. I don't feel it to be a stressful moment for me. I just love people, and so that's what makes it easy for me. But my granddaughter, I call her my grand jewel. So my grand jewel has opened up an area in my life that I am excited to be embarking upon, and so that just brings more love to the people that I already love on, and we have 6 godchildren. So
wow, big family. Well,
I enjoy it.
Honorable Uma, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you.
So these are not jobs. These are just things that you love to do. But how do you take time for yourself? How do you relax? How do you disconnect? What things do you do? I'm going to start with Miss Judith over here.
Well, when my children were little, I never had anyone but me. And I was married, but I never had anybody else. I used to say that I never had an hour away from my child that I did not pay for, babysitters and stuff. And so, it did well. My husband and I had a business, and we did really well doing, working it out together. And I could, if somebody was misbehaving at school, I'd tell him I have to leave and pick up his children. Right. But now that they're grown and they have their own lives, and I don't work as much as I used to, I really enjoy my life. I have more time for myself, and I really, really dote on the grandchildren. I love seeing them at least every weekend and take them usually overnight, and it gives their parents a break, and I always would have loved that when I was young, but I really find it such a much more relaxing lifestyle than when we were running around like nuts when they were younger. Right. Of course, we lived up north, and that's a little harder to run around with little kids because it takes you an hour just to get them dressed.
That is.
It realized what a difference living here was. It made just having the children so much more fun, and we in the pool all the time and just relaxing. So I love that.
Thank you. That's actually why my family. I was born in Bronx, New York, and my mother moved down here to Palm Beach when I was 5 years old because I had my little brother. He was 1, I was 5. And she said she was not about to raise some young kids in that cold, and they moved down immediately. So I've been down in Palm Beach since I was 5 years old. So I understand that's the struggle of trying to raise kids up north, but you make it happen because you're all super women. So thank you so much. So challenges. We're going to switch a little bit because there's so many residents, so many people that are watching that have had challenges growing up, raising children, that are currently experiencing challenges, that are struggling now. Can we talk about some of the challenges that you experienced being a mother and what advice you can give to some of the mothers of how you got through these challenges? I'm going to start with Ms. Cornett.
Challenges, the first one is love is patient, love is kind, and love is meek. You got to have patience because there'll be all kind of challenges. But a real mother loves her child anytime she carries it for 9 months. No matter what you go through or how you feel, your mother loves you. And there are times when you might have been hungry, but your children ate, because that's what a real mother do. They don't understand. My son say, well, Mama, why you have to go to work all the time? So you have lights. That's a challenge, because I was a single mother. But there were times that we have to work when we don't want to work, because of that love, but because of those sneakers. I used to tell my kids, I'm not buying no shoes over $50, because you could be a child's mother and a child's friend, and that's what most time we get wrong these days, because you try to be the mother and the child, and that's a friend and a mother, and that's a big challenge today, because you got to have your rules laid down.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's how you raise a good child, to let them know it's going to be like this. Like, I had 3 sons. This was your week to get your clothes. The next week, your week to get clothes. Then we had 3 weeks. The 4th week was my week. But you have to lay your rules down, right. And the challenge, and your child will respect you more.
Okay.
Is that what you want to hear?
Listen, that's perfect. You literally set a structure and a schedule within your household. You made sure everybody understood their roles. You made sure that you took care of yourself in addition to the children, but first and foremost with the kids. And you made sure that they ate before you, so thank you. That's the epitome of what a mother is. That's what most mothers do, and I've seen them. So thank you so much, Ms. Gwinnett. Ms. Allen, tell us some of the struggles and trials that you've been through with children.
Well, you know, my children are all 7 years apart, and I've realized or I'm learning that in raising children 22 years ago is totally different than raising children in today's society. And you as a mom, you have to learn how to not only always go with the way you were taught, and sometimes you have to configure and tweak certain things about the things that you used to do within your own self and learning how to reach out to that child today, because their peers, this environment, social media, it's going to have a huge impact on their guidance in a way. But I'm huge on everything starts in the home first. So I try to lay down that foundation, but it's always like it's what I did with my oldest, it does not work with my youngest, or it doesn't work with my girl child, and it's like always trying to find that median to always having to build, because I'm strong on relationships with them. And I don't want to, I was that tough mom in the beginning. Like, I didn't play the radio, he got spankings, and, but then I cannot do that with my younger child because it's just a different environment. His personality is different. So as a mom, the challenges with my children is just finding that balance to learning their personalities and just making it work, to guiding them and helping them be successful and giving them all the opportunities that they can to be successful, in life. And even they would say, Mom, you didn't do what you used to do to me to the other one.
Right.
And it's like everybody's having their own complaints, like, you just can't catch a break, but it's,
To that point, my brother always complains and say that I was the favorite son. So
see.
I always took pride in being the favorite son, so that's fine. Kevin, I'm the favorite son. Miss Nguyen, you have older kids now. Your kids are all grown.
Yes.
What challenges could you tell us about and tell some of the residents about interacting, growing up with their kids, and then also having older kids as well? What challenges they can experience from parents that are looking, mothers that are watching now?
I think that basically what everyone else said, you have to have patience, a lot of prayer, but communication is big with me. I talk to my children to try to get them to understand where I'm coming from, and I want them to talk to me. I grew up in a household where you couldn't always express yourself because what I say goes, and I didn't want that type of household. I wanted to have relationship and conversation with my children. I think one of the most difficult things, kind of like what Issa said, is that my oldest is the one that my bonus daughter is 40, and I have 3 grandchildren. And then I had the 2 younger, and they were, when she was 15, they were 2 and 4. And so it was difficult trying to give her attention, and when the little ones really, they needed attention because they can't do everything. And then, still working and everything else. That was a challenge, but I think you have to, the one thing I will tell parents is that, and especially moms, don't sacrifice your children for your career or anything else. You will never get that time with them back. And so I would use my vacation time to go to my daughter's swim meets, or my oldest daughter's track meets, or my son's, band performances. You will never get that time back. And if you miss it, it won't be worth it. It's not worth anything.
That was amazing advice. Thank you. Like parents, mothers that are watching, just try to balance that time. Wearing all those hats are difficult, but just trying your very best to know that time waits on no one. So always don't take it for granted. So thank you, Ms. Nguyen. So we're going to kind of switch gears, and we're going to talk about, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms. Brooks.
I just want to add something here while we're on that
Please, absolutely.
subject. I want to be transparent about my situation some years ago so that when parents are overwhelmed, it's okay to get help because not everybody has it all together. When my son was maybe about 2, 3, I became a caregiver for my father who had a stroke. totally paralyzed, could not speak. And I, at the time, was a supervisor with HR, Health and Rehabilitative Services. And one morning he came and he tugged on my skirt. And for that moment, I wanted to turn around and hit him. And I knew then that I had just gone through too much. And there was a psychiatrist that I knew, and I went to him, and I told him what was going on in my life. And I took off for about 6 months. So when you don't have it all together, when you feel that coming upon you, when you just can't take any more, go and get help. Because life can throw challenges for you that you're just not prepared to handle.
Yes.
Yep.
So I just wanted to share that, and it's okay not to be okay, and seek help. So just wanted to share that story.
You're going to be our special guest at our next forum because mental health and mental wellness is something that we talk about and try to normalize. And that's so important because letting parents know. And that actually transitions into another part where I'm going to ask one of our panelists to kind of tell her story and a little bit about her experience and why she started her nonprofit, if that's okay. Ms. Melvin, if you could just tell us a little bit about your experience, your story of losing a child.
Yes, so we have a foundation, my husband and I. Before I start that, I thank God for support.
Perfect.
Support is just is key. I have an amazing husband. My mother is amazing because, like you were talking about, your mental health is very, very critical, right? So we have a foundation, my husband and I. We have 3 older children, and my husband's 17-year-old committed suicide in 2018. He suffered from mental illness, and he committed suicide. So we opened up a nonprofit foundation called Sincere 2000. His name was Sincere, and he was born in 2000. Wow. So we just like to make sure that we spread awareness, that we let the children know that it's important to listen, because a lot of times we find ourselves always trying to jump on every word that our kids might say, you know what I mean, or try to combat every situation, and sometimes they just need a listening ear. Sometimes they just need us to listen to what they're saying and to understand, because, as it's been shared on the panel, every child is different. Every situation is different, every circumstance is different. And we just want to make sure that we get the word out to the world about the importance of mental health, the importance of suicide prevention, the importance of letting the kids know that they have a sounding board, that there are people in this world that are here to listen. I always thank, Councilman Lawson and his assistant Javaris, because they've been at the forefront since 2019 with Sincere 2000, making sure that we spread awareness, that we give the word out, that we let our children know in this world that they matter, that their mental health matters, that what they have to say is important. And with that, that's the reason why we started Sincere 2000 Foundation, because we don't want any other parent, any other person to ever feel what we had to feel, what we had to go through, because it's not fair, and it takes a toll on you. And being able to give back and to make sure that we're able to spread awareness has allowed us our mental healing, our way of trying to heal with such a hurt, and a pain that we had to suffer.
Ms. Melvin, thank you. And since I actually met Ms. Melvin and her husband, they have been committed to spreading the message of mental health, suicide prevention. And I've done the very best that I could to kind of bring that awareness to our community through the mental health discussions and conversations. But the parents, the mothers that are out there that are watching, just understand that there is support. Councilwoman Brooks stated that it takes support. It's a village. It really needs people to lean on together. So don't think that you're in this by yourselves. That's why we have this diverse panel to say, hey, we're all here to work together. We're all a support. We're all going to give you our experiences, because everybody's experience is different, but we all have similar paths we have to follow to raising these kids. So mothers, again, I just have to continue to honor you and salute you mothers and all the mothers watching, because everybody has their story. There's been so many mothers in our community that have lost children. Just recently this year, COVID has decimated our community and put us through a dire strait to where we have to come together as a village. So that's why you mothers are the rocks, the foundations, and we're going to lean on you mothers to kind of pave the way, to be those nurturers, to kind of say, hey, this is how we're going to get through things, and always rub me on my back, because I know my mom just says, baby, it's going to be okay. I'm still this big baby now that goes to my mom when things are going difficult, so thank you, moms. Education in the 21st century. Some of you have grown children, some of you have younger children. How important is education right now in this century? And then also the difference in education between some of your grandkids and then some of the kids that you raised, and then also what you're experiencing now, raising younger kids as well. So, Ms. Honan, tell us a little bit about the education system when you were raising your kids.
It wasn't fabulous, but it was pretty average.
Average.
But I just think that right now children are being robbed because they go to schools, they go every day, and I see the little kids, and they look so cute with their little uniforms on, and they're going to school with the expectation that this is what they're supposed to do. And eventually, they'll go and they'll be, an adult and get a job and do whatever. And sometimes the schools completely fail the children. And I just think they're, in my opinion, but I'm pretty old-fashioned, it's like getting back to the basics of education and just really helping them. When I was a kid, we used to go, and as third graders, we'd go teach first graders to read. We'd read with them individually, and just different things that it helped both groups. It helped the third graders, then it helped the first graders.
Right.
And it's a lot of things that children just need education now to ever compete. I read about a school the other day in Baltimore that the kid is like passed 3 classes in his whole 4 years, and he was, unfortunately, the shocking part was he was in the upper half of his school class. He wasn't even in the bottom of his school. He was in the upper half. Now, how can that happen after the reason they wrote it is the mother was told he wasn't graduating and he was a freshman. But it really needs, some of that stuff needs a lot of work right now. And I mean, my daughter moved out of town because she felt that there wasn't a good enough education, a school available, and she didn't have the money to even pay for private, because they're not cheap. So.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Honan. Ms. Allen, you're raising a elementary school, middle school, high schooler, and a college student. So you've pretty much experienced every level. Tell us a little bit about the education system and your thoughts. And you also work in the education system as well, or have worked.
I would love to agree with her in saying that the education system does not set up our children for success in real-life situations, in real-life scenarios. And I would like to touch on the underprivileged and the children who they weren't born with a silver spoon and or just the opportunity as other children who have, parents in a community which they're better off financially. The children in the lower poverty school, Title I school, they're not meeting their basic needs. They're coming to school to expect to perform on a level that we just don't, and sometimes I feel like the education system is oblivious to what they're going through at home, and everything is just paper pushed. It's all about paper, it's all about statistics, it's all about, what's on a paper, but not really going into back to the basics and just teaching them ground things and that village. The education system should be a part of that village. And I think everything is just separated and just individualized, and whether it be a system for finance, whatever it is we need to collectively, and it's not only just in the lower areas, it's just in all areas. Schools need to bring back, financial literacy. It needs to bring back home ec, teaching our, girls and guys how to cook, life skills. And I just agree wholeheartedly, it's just a disadvantage. And sometimes you can't get that at home because you're in whatever your situation may be. Again, education system should be part of that whole for a child. And I just don't feel like it's, even when my child was 22-year-olds in school, and even now, now it's worse. The tests are harder. Everyone's just focusing on a test. I think that just in the education system, they need to come back and just reevaluate everything as a whole.
Do you believe, or any other mother, do you guys believe that makes your job a little harder with kind of the struggles that you've seen in the education system? Even with COVID, it was a difficult transition because now all the parents, mothers, majority mothers, had to go back to virtual learning, had to actually be the teachers. And you got to see kind of what some of these teachers were experiencing in the classroom. So I know that it's difficult for even the teachers because I honor teachers. I don't know how they do it because just my one daughter and trying to teach 15, 20 of those kids is just like, wow, I was struggling with her and she's only 10. So I honor the teachers that try their very best. I just know that there's a system in place that's difficult and not really helping. And I'm not sure how we can reimagine it, but that's part of what this village is. That's part of the mothers and what you can do to actually provide that feedback, that support, that education. Was it difficult, or is it difficult in regards to being a mother and possibly seeing an inferior education system or something that you would want to see improved? Ms. Felder, you've been in the education system for years. What kind of feedback can you give to some of those parents? Because right now, you've raised your kids, you have grandkids, you're in the system. What is it that you saw with the education system that we could improve on, that as parents, as mothers, as a support, that we could work on?
I think, like the two ladies before me, is I think about when my kids were in school and I was more hands-on, so to speak, to go to the school. I would go visit my kid at any given time.
Right.
But this is not the times we're in now, and that's the sad thing about it, is that the parents are not, cannot, I won't say that they're not, but they cannot be as involved as going to the school as they were back when my kids were going to school. So I think that component, to me, should be a way to get to our kids, because when they saw us in school, they just they did differently. And so the presence of a parent or the presence of an adult in school makes the difference for a kid. And my kids used to feel so important when they saw me coming. I would just go and sit in their class and just sit and monitor sometimes. I would sometimes go and just have lunch. But that was an impact in a kid's life. And so those are the things that I kind of miss what's happening with school now, because you're so physically distanced now.
Right.
And everything is computer screen and a monitor, and they don't have that same hands-on. Even with the teacher, I can remember my teacher coming to my desk and hugging me and saying, you're just nurturing me on in school. We're so far from that now, and I just feel that that's the missing component of what what was used to for school.
As we transition back into hopefully some type of normalcy, that is something that I want the mothers out there to see and to take and say, hey, let me show up to my kid's school. Let me just be a support for the teachers, for my child. And as an amazing mother,
much.
That's what they need.
Yeah.
That's something that changed the path and direction, because they're going to stop cutting up if they see their mama coming every other day.
Right, because you don't know when I'm going to show up.
Right. So now they're not going to act up. And my mother's an old school Jamaican woman, so I ain't act up. I knew better. When I got a little older, I just stopped. When I was younger, I was out of control. But, you grow up, you get out of it, and you realize that your mom, your dad, those are the individuals that are just going to kind of put their foot down and say, hey, I'm going to be here. I'm going to do what's necessary, especially my mom.
Right.
And it's just being that type of mother and just showing all the types of mothers. And the ones that are watching, be more involved in that education system. Stop pointing the finger. Stop saying that it's somebody else's fault, and do your part.
Yes. And one more thing I wanted to add is that it shows the kid a sense of pride, because when my mom shows up, I'm important. When my dad shows up, I'm important. And so that's what we got to get back to with our kids. And you said it best. It's nothing like being that parent that's going to be hands-on with your own child.
Yes, perfect. Yeah. That's amazing. Anyone else want to talk about just the education system in general and raising kids? Because, yes, Ms. Gwinnett.
It really starts at home.
Ms. Gwinnett.
Oh, okay. It really starts at home.
Okay.
And when I go to my son's house sometime, everybody have a game, a phone, the mom and dad on the phone. And I'm like, well, y'all eating dinner and everybody got themselves, what homework? They said, oh, here come grandmama. So I take a pile of books over there and I give them next week I want this book read, that book read. But sometimes I know the technology these days has separated, and then when they get in class, the teacher called my son and said, your daughter was on iTunes all day. Because they know how to fast forward and fool the parents,
Fast
but we got to pay more attention to that.
And that's 100% accurate. It starts in the household. Every time that we have conversations, discussions, even just sitting on the dais and just telling the residents, hey, it starts with you guys. Yeah. It starts in your house, and you mothers are the foundation. You mothers have been the foundation, and we have to listen and learn and be more attentive to the mothers here, to the mothers throughout our community, and just let them know you are our support, you are our foundation. We have to listen to you, because a lot of us just are so bullheaded and don't listen to the mothers, to the women, to the ones that have been our support, to the ones that birthed us, to the ones that birthed this country and community. So thank you. I do have a special guest for you guys, though. I'm actually honored to have a mama's boy here as well. Our city manager, Mr. Jonathan Evans, wanted to come speak to you, wanted to kind of give greetings, wanted to tell all the mothers in the city, hello. So, Mr. Jonathan Evans.
Well, certainly happy Mother's Day, and thank you for this distinguished panel of mothers. I can tell you that just the opportunity I've had to hear some of the dialogue, there's so many things there that, as a son, that you don't really realize that your mom is playing all these different roles. And I took the liberty to do a little bit of research prior to this conversation, and I did want to highlight some of the positions and jobs that a mom goes through in a daily cycle. And it's from animal caretaker to chef to computer systems analyst to financial manager to food and beverage support worker to general office clerk to registered nurse to management analyst, child care worker, housekeeper, psychologist, bus driver, elementary school principal, dietitian, property manager, social work, and recreation worker. And the salary for all those positions combined is $635,724. So that just goes to show the amount of value that each and every one of you bring to our lives on a daily basis. And I can tell you that my mom is a remarkable person. And I know that each and every one of you mean the world to your family. And we are so fortunate to have mothers that care, that are compassionate, that are that backbone and that rock that we can rely on. There's a lot of times where in our communities, dads are not necessarily the ones you go to be consoled. Moms are the ones that after dad tells you, hey, this is how it's going to be, mom's the one that provides some comfort and explains to you the conversations that some of us as men don't really know how to communicate in such a way. And so from the bottom of my heart, I cannot thank you all enough for your contributions to this community, your commitment to your children and the other children that you've raised, because we all know, especially Councilman Lawson and I, as young men, we're always bringing our friends over when we were kids, and the pizza has to get ordered somehow, and there's clothes that has to get picked up and lights that have to get turned off. And invariably, you all are always there to make sure that we have what we need to be successful young men in our community. So from the young men in our community and from the city of Riviera Beach, we cannot thank you enough for your sacrifice, your commitment, and one day, hopefully, we'll be able to pay it forward. And I can tell you that a story that my mom doesn't tell much, but I do tell this story because I think it puts things into perspective, how valuable the guidance and direction is from a parent. I remember when I was about 13 years old, my mom, I said to her, hey, Mom, I want to have allowance. I want to get allowance like my other friends. And she's like, baby, that's fine. How much do you think is appropriate? And I said, well, $20 a week. Some of my friends are getting $20 a week. And she's like, I can do that. I think I have it in my purse. And so she went in her purse and gave me $20. And so I said, okay, well, it was that easy. So about 2 or 3 days later, I get 4 envelopes that are on my bed. And I open up the envelope, and it says laundry, $15, electric, $8, food, $25, rides to and from school and to practice, $30. And I said, Mom, I got these invoices, and they were printed up on Quicken, so she took some time, and it actually had a due date in red, and the due date was like the following week. And I said, Mom, all these bills, how am I supposed to pay these bills, and I only get $20 a week? And she's like, well, that's for you to figure out. And I gave my mom back the $20, and that's the last time I ever asked my mom for money. So moms teach you lessons in a way that resonate with you as an adult, to where I'm 40 years old and I'm sharing that story because of the impact it had at the time. And I know each and every one of you have made that lasting impact on your sons and your daughters, and those kids that sometimes the only place that they have to be safe is in your presence. And so thank you so much for what you do to those young people that may not get the love and care and compassion that you would hope. You've always nurtured us, you've always looked out for us, and you've always cared for us. So on this Mother's Day, we cannot thank you enough for your continued sacrifice and your commitment to make the world a better place. And I think there's a quote here that really sums up, I think, the real nuance of what it means to be a mother. And the quote is, "To the world, you are a mother. To our family, you are the world." Mm-hmm. And that really summarized your commitment and what your family values you are, because you truly are our world. Thank you, and happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moms, our city manager said it best. You guys are the world. You are the world to us. You are the world to this community, and you literally have just paved the way for us. And we just want to continue to thank you. We have one or two more questions before we close out, because it is Mother's Day. So we're going to let you enjoy and celebrate this amazing day, because you guys have to be honored. I want you to tell us a little bit about what you would say to your 15-year-old self if you had the opportunity to talk to yourself. So I'm going to start with Ms. Melvin, because she got a big smile on her face.
That's definitely funny that you said that, because my mom and I were having that conversation, because when you have children, as a parent, the kids don't think that you know anything. And I remember feeling the same way, like, oh, my mom, she don't know, and da-da-da-da-da, Mom, why are you saying this and that? But when I look back over my life, I find myself repeating the same things that she would say to me. I would find myself doing and acting the same way towards my children that, she would respond to me. But now, as my mom is a grandparent, she just kind of lets my kids do everything. And I'm like, Mom, that's, you're supposed to be, doing this and doing that. Why aren't you saying stuff to them? And she's like, nah, you're raising them. I'm the grandparent now. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because my children call my mom, Mom. So half the time they be like, Mom, and I won't even respond. And I'll just sit there, and then my mom say, yes, and they'll be talking to my mom, and then they'll be like, Mom, Mommy. And I'll go, oh, yeah, Mom said they're talking to you. And I'm like, oh, okay. But most of the time I'd be like, hey, call Mom, see if she'll let you go over to her house. Because she lives literally right next door to me now. Yep. So I'd always like, hey, call Mom. See if she'll let you go over there. But it's just, having a mom, having the support system, and looking back then, yeah, I just want to tell my mom thank you, because it's important to honor and cherish your parents and love them, and never take advantage of their time.
Ms. Brooks, if you could tell your 15-year-old self anything, what would it be?
I could barely hear.
If you can tell your 15-year-old self, if you could look back, go back in time and speak back to the 15-year-old child that you were, what would it be? What would you tell that child?
Going back to when I was 15?
When you were 15.
Oh, my God, that's going back a long time. Well, I'm trying to think. When I was 15, I was actually in the 11th grade.
Wow.
And very mature. And my mom, in those days, you didn't say very much to your parents. They did all the talking to you. My mom was a single mom, but I tell you, she gave me a lot of advice, great advice. Her big thing was education, she only had a 10th grade education.
Right.
So she was constantly saying to my sister and me, you must be better than I am. We want you to have a better education, a better life. So thinking back at 15, being in the 11th grade, Well, I guess just, being the best that I could be, and listening to the people in the neighborhoods, listening to the people in the church. So that's what I would be thinking about at age 15, if I'm answering your question correctly.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Okay.
I love it. There's no wrong answer. There's no wrong statement because you're a mom and it's your day. So
I can barely hear you.
there's no wrong answer. That's perfect.
Oh, gotcha.
Thank you,
Okay.
Ms. Brooks.
It's all subjective, okay.
So moms, mothers, what are your hopes for the children of this beautiful city of Riviera Beach? We need you mothers. We need you guys to continue to pave the way, to tell us what we need to do, and to teach some of the younger mothers and some of the counterparts, hey, these are the things that we've experienced. These are the things that we're going through. What are your hopes for the children of our city? And what are your hopes that we can continue to work forward and move forward if anybody wants to get started?
Well, what I'd like to see happen for our children is that they would have a desire to come back to a community and contribute to the community. I want them to feel like Riviera Beach is their home and not have a desire to leave, but to come back and make a difference in their community. And with that, those of us who are out there must somehow embrace them and let them see that there is a benefit to coming back. And that might mean looking at opportunities for them to come back to their community. Yeah. Looking at the business community, getting the business community excited about our graduating college students coming back to Riviera Beach. So we've got to show that Riviera Beach is truly the best place to live, work, and play. and something too, we need to keep them aware of what's going on in the city.
Yes.
And in whatever way that they can volunteer to make a difference in the lives of people, encourage them to do it. And that's one way of getting them to really love the city and to see opportunities to serve people in the city. You look at St. George's. I've seen young people from, say, Christ Fellowship Church who's there serving the poor. And that means a lot because some of them have no idea what it's like, the challenges of being poor and homeless. So when we share with them the challenges and to look at an opportunity at their young age or whatever age that they can serve and make a difference.
I love it. Ms. Brooks, thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you so much. And I think that answers the question. If any mother wants to add on to that, that was exactly the epitome of what motherhood is and what we can do as a village together. So what I want to do is just thank you incredible women for being amazing moms, for being amazing G-moms, for being amazing umas, for being the great people that you are and the wonderful leaders that you are in our community. I want to wish Ms. Quinette Lowry a happy Mother's Day. Ms. Cheryl Melvin, happy Mother's Day.
I want to say one thing about
Absolutely, Ms. Quinette.
I have 3 grandsons that graduated. One is in Chicago, one is in Alabama, and one is in Atlanta. And they say they don't want to come back here. Mm-hmm. And I've said, why? And there's nothing to do. So Mr. Jackson and I put on a performance, We Care project one Saturday, and we talked to all the seniors and the juniors, I think it was, and we let them know that the same job opportunities that are there in Atlanta and Boston, they're here. But all they hear is, but we need to get together, like Mr. Jackson said we were going to do it again, Mr. Anderson, to let them know they could be contractors, they could be builders. They think there's nothing here to do because they always see the negative side, but we need to have a workshop to bring them together. That's not the one that you give, but that's just on a fourth of them that don't think there's nothing to do in Riviera Beach. But there's plenty of opportunities here, but they don't know them, especially females. Because I got 2 granddaughters work for Carrier in Atlanta and Chicago, and they're saying, because there's no money there. But there's money here to be made. I don't know why they don't think this way was raised, that they can't bring the money back to the city.
And to that point, Ms. Quinette, that is exactly what the epitome of motherhood is. That's what mothers do. They want to kind of find that path. They want to bring their children home. They want to have support for them and provide jobs and opportunities for them right here. and just give them a reason. So you've always been that nurturer, so thank you, Ms. Cornett, and thank you so much, and happy Mother's Day. Ms. Brooks, happy Mother's Day. I appreciate you. Thank you for sitting on this panel. Attorney Nguyen, happy Mother's Day to you.
Thank you.
Honorable Ms. Felder, happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Happy Mother's Day, Ms. Allen. Thank you so much for sitting on our panel. And Ms. Honan, thank you. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
I just want to wish my mother, Hillary Marine Lawson, happy Mother's Day from your son, little Dougie. Thank you so much for everything you've done. To the amazing mother, Dr. Danielle Watson, of my daughter, Madison Jade Lawson, happy Mother's Day to you. And to all of our amazing residents out there. To everyone that's watching on this joyous day, we celebrate and honor you on Mother's Day, a day that we're going to let you kick your feet back. I got all of our mothers some wine to enjoy for Mother's Day, so please enjoy it and enjoy yourselves, okay? Happy Mother's Day. You're a blessing, and thank you from the city of Riviera Beach and Douglas Lawson. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.